So, with Hockey Night in Canada off for the foreseeable future because of the ongoing situation, I just want to bring attention to something that's been very interesting for CBC in the off months or during lulls in the playoff series. Often, CBC has either produced or shown many, many hockey movies over the years. We remember back in the 1980s the award-winning Hockey Night with Megan Follows and Yannick Basson of Murdoch Mystery fame. But since then, we've had a lot of great movies that have either been produced in Canada or produced by the CBC to be shown on Saturday nights as sort of like the hockey movie of the week. Now, some of them again were CBC productions, some were independent Canadian productions. They wouldn't have too much attention in the world market, but I'm just going to go over a few movies that you may have heard of, or you may want to watch. Now, recently we've seen movies on Terry Sawchuk, the great Red Wing and Toronto Maple Leaf All Star, and he's in tempestuous life between the pipes, on and off the ice. We've seen a movie about the life and unfortunate death of spinner Spencer, Brian Spencer, who came into the league with the Maple Leafs as one of their top young prospects in the 1970s, but things beyond his control ended his life and career much too early. Also, the Don Cherry, well, I would say miniseries, but multiple movies talking about his life from the minor leagues all the way up to uh, you know, the first period thing with Ron McLean, Coach's Corner, talking about his battles with CBC and everything else. Network, which talked about the career of Ted Lindsay and also his efforts to start the NHLPA. The movie on Gordie Howe's WHA years, which starred actually the best stars of the movie were the WHA uniforms that were brought back for the movie. Talks about Bobby Hull, Gordie Howe, Colleen Howe, Mark and Marty, the various Mike Shaky Walton, the various WHA stars, talking about the 1974 season when the Arrows went and won the APCO Cup. And for me, one of the better ones was the miniseries on the Summit 72 year, where they dramatized pretty well 80% of Team Canada and Team Russia in that 8 game series. Some great performances. Jerry D from Family Feud Canada fame, playing Wayne Cashman. Movie was filmed in New Brunswick at the Aiken Center and other locations in Frankton, and really stands the test of time. Now, these movies are about as Canadian. I'm missing a few. I apologize. Uh, these movies are about as Canadian as you can get. But for me, my favorite again is that 1972 Summit Series movie, where basically it was so well done that the French speakers, Gilbert and Cornway and a few others, speaking their regional French, like as an Acadian, I speak an Acadian Northern New Brunswick French, but to see a regional French in Quebec represented with the actors was well researched. And the visuals and everything down to the incidents that happened in '72, everything from the sideburns to Frank Mahler's hatred of the communists, talking about when Cashman had a stick almost cut his tongue off by the Swedes. Talk about the ire, but Canadian diplomats about Team Canada, how the Russians basically caused a lot of problems for the Canadian fans over in Russia. It's probably one of the better miniseries in Canadian history. And again, these movies, CBC either produced them or allowed these movies to be seen or paid for these companies to show it. But for a lot of people, the Don Cherry movie is very important because it tells a lot about the modern hockey fans. You don't remember what it was like in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and into the 90s, where literally the biggest rivalry was Don Cherry and the Bruins against the Montreal Canadiens. Although the Flyers against the Leafs, the Daryl Sittler years, it should be a movie. It's not out yet. So if you have a chance, I don't think these movies are available on YouTube. You can see probably snippets. But the Brian Spencer movie is available online, but because of some of the what do you call adult content because there is some nudity in the movie. It'll be obvious because you know the Brian Spencer case. And what's interesting in the Brian Spencer case, a lot of what happened in the Brian Spencer case relates to the legal case for the Dennis Holland case about proper evidence being presented and maybe murderers being let go or free. We still don't know if Brian Spencer murdered that person alleged case, and same with Holland. You know, yet to be determined where, is he a fugitive from justice or was he hampered by the justice system? Like I said, I could probably say what I think about both cases, but like I said, I don't have the legal, monetary resources to say my opinion publicly in this forum. Although I've said it many times online if you want to check it out. I really think Olin's guilty, but that's just me, just in the evidence. But, you know, that's just one person's opinion. It doesn't demean his character. I think he's guilty. If he thinks I'm wrong to think he's guilty, well, that's his opinion too. So you can't defame somebody who basically may be a murderer. It doesn't work that way. Hopefully, never check charter law in regard to that. If someone's already been convicted and not convicted in the second case, can you still say he's a murderer because he was convicted the first time? I don't know. I'm not Warren Kinsella or similar lawyers. So on this Tuesday, where we're still figuring out what's going on in Canada across the world, please stay safe and happy news for everybody that the snowstorm that hit the Canterbury region last night, the plows are out. So we're kind of worried if the plows would be delayed or not be going out. And anyway, Saturday night, not showing sure exactly what they're going to be showing, but I'm sure they're going to show the Don Cherry movie, even though Cherry was fired by Sportsnet, which CBC wasn't employing him at the time, so he might be showing it.